Today we're going to talk about downswings in poker. If you play poker long enough, you will deal with soul-crushing downswings a lot more frequently than people like to admit to. In fact, if you play poker professionally or even semi-professionally, you'll find that it's unique to other jobs and that you really never know whether you're actually going to make money in any given day, week, month, year. If you had any other job like that, you wouldn't last very long. Because imagine if you went and worked like a 12-hour shift digging ditches and they like, here's your negative 100 check, you owe us money. I mean, that just wouldn't fly, right? But when we play poker, we deal with this shit all the time. It's just a fact of life, and it's something you have to just prepare for mentally in order to succeed in this crazy game. So in this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to navigate the times when everything just seems to be going the wrong way. I'll help you minimize the losses that you sustain during those periods and get back on the winning track as soon as possible. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. I've had some pretty bad downswings in my career, probably more than my share. Most recently during my spare change challenge, which if you don't know what that is, I took $25. I started late last year in 2016, and then just a few months I took it up to $4,000. Well, during that period, I had almost a $2,000 downswing in the middle of that. Everything was going awesome, first 25,000 hands or so, and then boom, doom switch hit, and it was right when I was taking my first shot at 400 and L2, and yeah, it was pretty annoying because there was a few really bad days in a row. I had to move down. I had to call upon my mental reserves just to make it through, but I was able to get back on track. And eventually, the challenge, I didn't go busto. The challenge ended up being a success. Although, of course, if I didn't have that giant downswing, it could have been much, much better. But on the other hand, if I had just tilted off the rest of my roll, obviously challenge over, right? I'm not up $4,000. So I can't complain. I mean, but I'm going to give you 3 tips that helped me through that period and helps me prepare for those periods. So let's get started. Tip number 1. The best way to deal with downswings happens before you even have a downswing. Most people fail at poker not because of their play, although that is a big factor. It's more about mental prowess. Mental weakness is like the thing that just destroys talented players, right? So and that usually just stems from them not understanding poker on a fundamental level. You got to make sure that you understand that poker is a long-term game, and really, I mean, it's just a series of upswings and downswings. Nobody runs their expected value on it day in and day out, right? One day you might run 50 big blinds per 100, and the next day you run minus 45 big blinds per 100. Now, I'm oversimplifying this, but in the end, you're a 5 big blind winner, which is pretty good, right? But that minus 45 big blind day really hurts, whereas the plus 50 big blind day, you're happy about that, right? But really, should you be just as happy about, shouldn't you be just indifferent either way, right? So that's really the way you have to view it. And a downswing is really just a figment of our imagination anyways. Most of you already know this. I mean, this is kind of common knowledge now. It's when several of those days, those bad days, just come consecutively. Mind games really start up at that point a lot of times. We get tricked into believing something is wrong with us, something is wrong with the way we're playing. And sometimes that might be part of it, but usually it's just human nature to always want to look for a solution to problems that might not even exist, right? So what is the solution to this? The real solution is to actively work on your mental game just like you work on your strategy, right? Try to distance yourself from the hand-to-hand and hour-to-hour results. You might do this by not looking at the cashier. I think Leatherass talks about this in his book, Treating Poker Like a Business. Just don't look at the cashier. Play your sessions and just end the day and move on. Do the rest of your day and maybe check it once a week or something. I did that for a long time. I would only check my cashier on Sunday after my last session for the week. I would reflect, I would make plans for the next week and then just play another week and not look at the cashier. It's really liberating to remain ignorant of how you did on any given day. Does your daily poker results affect your mood? If it does, it does mine. So that's why I'm bringing this up. And I think it affects a lot of people. It takes a pretty hardcore, centered, it takes like the Dalai Lama, I think, to be completely indifferent to a bad result, right? So the easiest way to do it, you might call it a band-aid, is just don't pay attention to how you're doing. Just make good decisions. And I mean, even during sessions themselves, we can use this tactic. It doesn't have to be just not checking the cashier. I don't know whether, if you tile your tables, it's hard to get away from looking at individual results, but some people stack nowadays. A lot of people stack and tile. That's where the table pops up on your screen when it's your turn. If you end up all in or something, just move the table back into the stack. Don't look at the result. I mean, you might see it and you might realize it afterwards, but just seeing that money slide to another person can even subconsciously do some damage to us mentally. So I really recommend trying not to look at results, even hand-to-hand results, and definitely don't look at the cashier. So that's tip 1. Remain positive, learn to think long-term, stop worrying about the short-term results, stop looking at the short-term results, and you'll probably find that you're tilting less and in turn not exacerbating the downswings that you actually have. And that really is the key here. Everybody has downswings, but it's the people that deal with them the best and minimize them the most that end up being the biggest winners. Tip number 2, follow a reasonable bankroll management plan. Don't chase your losses. Just move down. Maybe even take a small break. Regain some confidence at a lower level and grind it back up. My advice is to just be very deeply bankrolled. That way you don't have to move down as often. If you're a part-time player, I'd recommend having something like, I don't know, let's say you play 100 in L and you have 3,000 online, and your move down point would be $2,000. A good way to do it is just have an equal amount out of your bankroll, out of your actual online account, basically in a separate account, like maybe a bank account. So let's say you have 3,000 online, well, have 3,000 in a bank account dedicated to poker. And if you downswing to $2,000, you just reload 500 from that side bank account. So now you have 2,500 in both accounts, and you can continue playing 100 an L or whatever. Then if you drop another 500, well, you consider moving down, or you put another 250 in, keep going. You see what I'm saying here? You just make yourself deeply rolled, keep money behind, so you don't ever have to pull money out of your actual day-to-day expense money to continue playing poker. So I advise having like 30-40 buy-ins in your poker account and also having 30 or 40 buy-ins behind. Now, if you're a professional player, I would advise even more than that. I would put like at least 6 months living expenses behind. Preferably a year or more. I mean, if you're doing this for a living, I mean, poker is a bitch. I mean, you can go 100,000, 200,000 hands, like 8, 9 big blinds under expected value. I mean, it's that brutal sometimes. So you need to allow for that, unless you want to be, flipping burgers in 6 months to a year, or whatever your side job, your fallback job would be. But if you're an up-and-coming professional poker player, you need to be deeply rolled. And in fact, until you have a deep roll, I wouldn't even consider going professional. So to sum that up, you never want your poker downswing to put pressure on real life, because that just makes you play bad. Just follow your bankroll management plan, have a deep bankroll, and that will help a lot with the downswings, and that you're not going to be worried about the downswings. And you'll in turn just play better, because you will be free to make all the correct plus EV decisions that you think need to be made without having to worry about your damn bankroll. Tip number 3, make sure you continue to study and improve. Be honest with yourself. Make sure you invest a portion of your bankroll, monthly, bi-monthly, whatever. Get some coaching. Have somebody else get a fresh set of eyes on what you're doing. Because in fact, it's no secret that the better you are, the less awful your downswings will be. I went 18 months running about $20,000 under EV, and this was just 3 years ago. It was just the most brutal poker period of my life. However, I still managed to win money during that period, and How did that happen? It's because my EV win rate was 10 big blinds. My actual win rate was 2 big blinds. The runouts were just killing me. Hand in, hand out, day in and day out, week in and week out. Not bitching about it, although I have bitched about it in the past. But 18 months of that stuff was really, really brutal. But the fact that I had a win rate, my actual win rate of 10 big blinds over that period, made me still able to not lose my ass and still actually make a little bit of money during that period. Now imagine if I had a 4 big blind win rate, actual win rate, EV win rate or whatever, and I ran 8 big blinds under. Could you imagine running minus 4 big blinds per 100 actual over 18 months? I mean, I don't know that I could have moved down often enough. I mean, I would have been back to playing 2-L or 5-L or whatever eventually, right? So continually improve and make sure you're beating your game soundly, and that will mitigate your downswings as well. So in summary, the best way to deal with a downswing actually has nothing to do with the actual downswing itself. I mean, anything you do to mitigate a downswing during a downswing is just a band-aid. It's not going to get to the core issues that exacerbate those downswings. Instead, with proper preparation and knowledge, you should actively plan for your downswings and understand that they are just part of the game. Just like the upswings are part of the game, we don't complain about those. The downswings are part of the game as well. And by following a conservative bankroll management plan and continually working hard to be the best player you can be, because nothing pones the threat of a downswing better than just being a damn good player, right? So once again, understand that the game is just downswings and upswings, right? Don't look at the cashier. Don't focus on short-term results. Have a deep bankroll so you can just play every hand to the maximum EV. Don't worry about a plus EV shove just because it's a large part of your bankroll. Have a deep bankroll so that's not even an issue. And make sure you continually study and improve. Do those 3 things, and you're going to find your downswings are not as intense, maybe not even as frequent, and that's because you're probably going to be mitigating your tilt at the same time, because there's nothing that creates tilt more than anything than running under EV. I'd love to see your comments. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope this video helps some people out there. Everybody enjoy the rest of their day, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks.